بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. So last time we started the صفات that do not have opposites, صفات غير متضادة. We finished off with قلقلة. Before that we talked about, I believe, صفير which is found in the Zai, Sad, Sin letters. And then we talked about qalqala, and we spent some time on that. Moving forward, the third attribute of the ones that don't have opposites is al-lin. Al-lin. And that is essentially anytime you have like a fatha leading into a waw sakin or a fatha leading into a ya sakin. It doesn't have to be a hamza before it. It's just any fatha for before waw sakin or ya sakin. So the definition he gives here is, he translates al-lin, or she translates al-lin into softness and ease. Lean in the Arabic language actually means softness. There's an ayah in the Quran, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَظًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Before that, لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. That comes from lean, meaning being soft. It says it is a characteristic ascribed to the waw and ya sakina, waw and ya sakin, preceded by a fatha. So anytime you have waw sakin or ya sakin and before it is a fatha, this is what you call lean. And the reason why it's called lean is because of their easy flow through the articulation point. Meaning the makhraj, it's very easy to say the lean. So some examples of lean. So those are with waw. And these are with ya. Anyone know a surah that ends, every ayah usually ends with lean? Surah wherein most ayahs end with lean. Surah Quraysh. لإلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. So three endings of lean. So essentially, you see here, these are the examples of ya. Ya sakin before it is a fatha. Bayt, Quraysh, and waw sakin before it is a fatha. Khawf, Qawm. Now, one thing to point out for lean is that sometimes we're, again, anticipating, this happens often, where we anticipate like the next letter and then we mess up the one before it. Try to retain the fatha aspect of the qaf and the kha. So khawf, khawf, instead of khawf. If you say khawf, you're starting off with khu, and then you're not reading the fatha. Yeah, you don't want to overemphasize it like khawf, but khawf, khaw, khaw, khaw. Even like here, ow. Remember I told you guys it shouldn't be o. If you say o, it's o. You're starting with o. It should start with a, ow, a, o, a. So quray, ray, bay, bait. Again, you don't want to overemphasize it because then it sounds weird. But just a little bit. Bait, bait, instead of bay. Be, bait, that starts with a be. Quraysh, re, re. So you want to make the fatha clear and quickly transition into the either waw or the ya sakin.
So he put it khawf, khawf.
Khawf, khawf, kha, khaw, khaw. Yes.
Should you be able to really obviously like feel and tell that like your lips are changing between the
Yeah.
fatha connecting?
Yeah. For the ya, Quray, you can open up the mouth when you say a. Always try to keep your mouth open when you're reading. Some people they read with good tajweed, but when they recite, they don't open up the mouth, and because of that, you can hear the echoes of the inside of their mouth, and it fuzzes up the entire recitation. So here, ow, ow, you end up with pursing the lips because it is a waw sakin. Khawf, khawf. The lips do get pursed. Khawf, qawm. So you do purse the lips. That's for waw sakin. Ya sakin gets flat and open. Like bayt, bayt. So the more you enunciate with your mouth, the more you use the entire mouth, the better. Your recitation should be a little bit different than your speech, right? When you speak, the entire mouth is very relaxed. You're not like speaking like using the whole mouth. But the more you use the whole mouth and kind of open up the mouth when you read, the more clear it becomes. Sometimes you might have heard a reciter with very clear recitation. It's because they're opening up the mouth. Like if I say Alhamdulillah versus Alhamdulillah, I don't want to do it too much because then it sounds funny, but opening up the mouth does help. So just keep in mind the fatha should be recited, and you shouldn't make the fatha merge into the waw, or sorry, like have the waw merge into the fatha or the ya merge into the fatha. What I mean by that is you shouldn't say kho, kho, kha. Start with the kha, kha, and then directly into the o. Khawf instead of khof, and bait instead of bait. It's a bait, like bait. If you just look at the ba, it's bait. A lot of people say kaif, k, instead of ka, kaif, kaif, kaif. There should be, if you were just to single out that letter, you should hear a fatha instead of imala. Imala would be a, so it shouldn't be ke, ka, kaif, kaif versus kaif. Yeah, lean is elongated, but if you are continuing the recitation, then it only gets one alif, or we could say mad asli, like two harakas, like لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ fi قُرَيْشٍ. You're not supposed to make it longer than that if you're doing wasl. If you stop, you're allowed to do what we're going to do later on in the chapters of mud for lean. So you can say لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. You can make it long. If you do waqf there, if you stop there, you can do it. If you keep on reading, you must do only one extra haraka sound. لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ إِيلَافِهِمْ. You can't say لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ إِيلَافِهِمْ. You can't do that waslan. Wasl means you keep on reciting. You can't do that. If you do waqf, you stop there. That is when you can elongate the lean. So lean does have a mud. Only when you stop on it. All right. So that is lean. And we move on to, and that was number 3. Move on to number 4, which is called al-Inḥirāf. the translation they give is drifting. Drifting. And this one, what was the translation for lean? Softness? Yes. Softness. All right. What is al-Inḥirāf? Al-Inḥirāf is only found in lam and ra. What is it? It is the drifting of the sound of the letter due to its incomplete flow caused by the tongue blocking its path. I'll read it 2 more times, inshallah. It is the drifting, or it is drifting of the sound of the letter due to its incomplete flow caused by the tongue blocking its path. One more time. It is drifting of the sound of the letter due to its incomplete flow caused by the tongue blocking its path. So that is inḥirāf, drifting. What does it mean? When you are reciting lam and ra, a portion of the pathway of air gets blocked. Due to this blocking, the air flows to a different location. It's a limitation of the airflow. When we recite lam and ra, air is still flowing, so it's not like amongst the letters of jahar. What was the letters of jahar? Ajidu qatin bakat. Right? So lam and ra are not jahar. And they're not, what was that? Is that shadid? Now I'm going to have to look again. What was the acronym again? For shidda? Hams is فَحَثَّهُ شَخْصٌ sakat, and then shidda was ajidu qatin bakat. Right? Shidda was ajidu qatin bakat. So it's not shadid. It is or you guys tell me, which sifa does lam and ra come in? It's not shadid, so which one is it going to be in that category? You guys remember? Rakhawa. So is Rakhawa Lin Umar? Which Lin Umar was the acronym for which sifa? Who remembers? So you have Shidda, Rakhawa, Hams, Bayniya. So Shidda was Ajidu Qatin Bakat, Bayniya is Lin Umar, and then Rakhawa was the rest. It's good to refresh, I even forgot just now. Then I just remembered. Yeah, so Lin Umar. Why did we say that this was Bayniya? Because remember what Shidda versus Rakhawa was. Shidda is a complete blockage of the sound. So when you say ad, remember that is why we have qalqala for some of them. Ad is you don't even know what I'm saying. I'm saying the jim. Ad, so we need a qalqala to make it clear. Aj, dal, ad is a complete blockage of the sound. It can't get out. So I need a qalqala to make it apparent. Ad, ajidu qa, aq. The qaf completely blocks the sound, so I need a qalqala to make it apparent. Aqo. So that is shidda, whereas rakhawa, there's no blockage. It's complete flow, just comes out. Nothing blocking that air. And we said lin umar, these are in between because air is still coming out, however, there's a partial blockage. And the other huruf, you guys can go back and see those videos for why those are partial blockages. But we're dealing with lam and ra here because they also are part of inḥirāf. So along with that knowledge that we had of bayniya, let's say lam and ra, they are bayniya. Okay. So why are these bayniya? Because when you say ra, when you say lam, there's a partial blockage of the airflow. That's what bayniya means. Ayn partially blocks the airflow. Noon partially blocks the airflow. However, in these two letters, the sound will like move to a different direction. This is a very easy sifa because you automatically do it when you say the letters. When you say la, the front portion now, the air cannot come from the front of your mouth because you're saying lam. You're saying lam, that front portion is blocked. What it does is it goes to the sides. It goes to the sides. So if this is a tongue, I should use the red for a tongue. Okay, that's the tongue. Here he has a diagram. So the sound is coming from the throat, coming out, and then it goes outward. Because the tip of the tongue is making the lam sound, right? That's how the inḥirāf is happening in lam. You say it's coming from the sides. And like I mentioned, like you don't have to make any extra emphasis of this because if you're saying the lam makhraj right, then it's going to automatically do that. As for ra, this is lam. The inḥirāf in ra is different. So you got the sound waves coming here. With ra, the sound gets pushed towards the middle. Because the sides of the tongue gets pushed up. So with ra, the tongue kind of goes like this. Ra. Sides poke upward when you're saying the ra, and then the airflow is directed through the middle. Now with ra, because we said there's another sifa of ra that we haven't done yet, it's called al-Takrīr. Takrīr is the capability of repetition. It's only found in ra. This means that ra is a letter that is capable of being rolled. When you do that, there's a capability within the letter to be rolled. This should not be confused with the encouragement of rolling the R's. The sifa means there's a capability of rolling. Right? So when you combine the two, you realize that when reciting the ra, the sides of the tongue will be pretty much pressed up on the roof of the mouth. With this opening, that is where the sound will come through. However, due to the pressure of this, like touching the tip, this also touches the roof of the mouth. Like we said, it touches the ridges of the gums on the top. So it's like it is trying to be closed, but the air is pushing it out. So that's what's causing the flaps to happen. When we say it's touching the top, but then the air is pushing it continuously. So it's going like this, right? So that's why is happening. The sides are pressed up on the roof of the mouth, and then the air is trying to come out, but you are also touching the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. So then the air keeps hitting it, and then that's why it has that capability of doing that. So these two combined for ra will give you an understanding why that happens. The sides of the tongue are up, but the tip is being pushed by the air and it's flapping. That is causing that. Lam doesn't have takrīr because you could just hold lam. Ra, if you hold it, there's a continuous flapping sound. Okay. And so that is inḥirāf. Inḥirāf just means change of direction of the air, the sound. So now, if you guys have any questions, you can ask. Let's go to the next one. Next one is Takrīr. I already explained it. Yes? I already explained it. Takrīr. Takrīr means repetition. Okay. Now, they say here, it is a light trilling of the tongue. I guess that is the correct word for it. Trilling of the tongue. And in Arabic, irti'adu taraf al-lisan. Irti'ad. Irti'ad means like to shake. So it's a light trilling of the tongue, a shaking of the tongue when pronouncing the ra due to its tight articulation point. It is a light trilling of the tongue when pronouncing the ra due to its tight articulation point. So as I mentioned, the tip of the tongue, what is the articulation point? The makhraj. Right? Makhraj is articulation point, like the place where you put your mouth to make the sound. So the makhraj of ra, we said, was like the tip of the tongue when it's like covering the distance between one, to the other side. That is held very tightly. The air pushes it, so it rattles, or it trills, if you will. So it's that r sound. Right? Now, he gives a caution, a note of caution, which I've already mentioned. The reciter should be careful not to exaggerate the repetition, leading to the occurrence of more than one ra. So some people have a question like, okay, ra has takreer, so we're supposed to roll the ra's, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So that's the attribute of takreer. That is incorrect, because what is happening is every different roll of the tongue is a different ra, is considered a different ra. So it would be like, you're saying Ar-Rahman, 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 ra 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 ra. So it should be once. There should be one. Yeah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman. And sometimes you'll be able to hear it. Sometimes it is, as long as it's touching the makhraj, and you hear it, like in comparison to American or English R's, that doesn't touch the makhraj of ra. In English, R doesn't really touch the makhraj. It's just hanging in the air. Ar-Rahman, Ra. So that Ar-Rahman, the Ra is not meeting its makhraj. It's almost there.
Isn't shadda 2 letters?
The first one is sakin, and the second one is going to be fatha. So shadda is 2 letters. Al-Rah, Al-Rah. But you won't like, it's not Al-Rah. You don't like pause at the sakin, you fuse them together. So a shadda, that's a good question actually. Shadda, al-rah, let's see. I'm forgetting which one becomes the sakin. I think the first one becomes sakin. It's actually al-rah. This one is sakin and this one is maftuh. Right. Al-rah. But when you read it, it's not al-rah. Al-rah. We don't pause there. Normally for a sakin you pause. Right? You say Rahman, you do a pause there. So here it's not going to be Ar-Rah. That's normally how it should be. Ar-Rah. Ar-Rah. Like the standard, if you were going to read this, it would be Ar-Rahman. In that case, you would hear two. But a shadda is a fusion of two. So the first one becomes like kind of void. That's why you only hear one, really. We will discuss this more when we get to wherever shadda is going to be discussed. So you won't hear for both. Like for bihi. Bihi, like iqlab there. Bihi. So normally it's bihi. Bihi. Your lips should settle on release, and then say bihi. 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 That's how it should be. Bihi. However, when we're fusing the two, bihi. So if that was similarly done for ar-Rahman, it'd be ar-Rahman. But when you fuse them together, they become one. So then you only hear one ra. Okay, let's see here. We have some time. At-Takrīr. Yes, we finished that. The reciter should be careful not to exaggerate the repetition leading to the occurrence of more than one ra. So you have to practice. You have to hear one trill, if you will, and that's it. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman. You hear Ar-Rahman, that's like 2, 3. It's very hard to maintain. Like if you got used to rolling the R's, you're gonna have to control the tip of the tongue so that it only happens once. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman. Okay. Number 6. At-Tafashī. This is called spreading. This is also only found in one letter, and that is sheen. He says, it is the spreading of the sound of sheen, starting from its articulation point until the sound collides with the inner plates of the top and lower teeth. This is a big definition. I'll read it a few times. It is the spreading of the sound of sheen. It is the spreading of the sound of sheen, starting from its articulation point until the sound collides with the inner plates of the top and lower teeth. Again, it is the spreading of the sound of sheen, starting from its articulation point until the sound collides with the inner plates of the top and lower teeth. Essentially, what it is the spreading of the sound of sh, sh. In Arabic, it says, intisharu sawti sheen min makhrajihi, the spread of the sound of sheen from its makhraj, حتى يصطدم بالصفحة الداخلية للأسنان العليا والسفلى. And it spreads such that it meets the inner teeth, the inner upper and lower teeth. That sound of the sheen echoes on that. So the top 2 teeth, the bottom 2 teeth. He doesn't say the top 2, but he says asnan ulya and sufla, meaning upper teeth, lower teeth. The sound of sheen is like gonna echo off of them. Shh, shh, like it's going forward from the tongue, so it's hitting the teeth in the back side of the teeth, right? Not the front, obviously. Again, if you're pronouncing sheen correctly, that is going to happen. Shh. All it entails is that the sound of sheen is a full sound, and it has this sh echo-like sound. Anyone who's pronouncing sheen correctly will do that. If someone has maybe a lisp, or someone is having their sheen is sounding like a za or something like that, that might be an issue. But generally speaking, no one has an issue with this. Shh, Tafashī. Shh, yeah. Shh. It's like when you hush a child. Shh. Shh. Basically, it's bouncing off of that and it's giving that extra sound. No. If you're saying shu, yeah, shu, but by itself, ash, ish, ush, depends on the haraka before it or the haraka of the sheen. So there's no extra action that is necessary. All right, we're going to do one more, and that'll be it, inshallah. But this is this sifa has detail. This number 7. This is important because this one is misunderstood. Okay. Lengthening. I hope I spelled that right. GTH words are always difficult. So lengthening. This also is only found in one letter. That letter is Dad. Attribute of Dad. This is a long definition here. He says it is the slight pushing of the tongue forward. It is the slight pushing of the tongue forward when pronouncing the Dad. It is the slight pushing of the tongue forward when pronouncing the Dad. From the back to the front of the mouth. From the back to the front of the mouth. Again, from the beginning, it is the slight pushing of the tongue forward when pronouncing the Dad, from the back to the front of the mouth, until the tip of the tongue lightly touches the root area of the upper 2 incisors. Until the tip of the tongue lightly touches the root area of the upper 2 incisors. And he adds more, which is the effect of the air pressing behind the tongue. Which is the effect of the air pressing behind the tongue. I'm going to read it again. It is a slight pushing of the tongue forward when pronouncing the Dad, from the back to the front of the mouth, until the tip of the tongue lightly touches the root area of the upper 2 incisors, which is the effect of the air pressing behind the tongue. If everyone bought the book, then we wouldn't have to repeat this over again. If you got that, you want me to read it again? It's easier for me not to write it on the board if you guys can write it. And I don't think there's any PDF available. Sheikh Ayman is very strict on people purchasing the book. All right, so what is Istiṭālah? It's found in the Dad. This is necessary for us to understand how Dad works. Now, what we mentioned before is that Dad is a letter that you have a choice in how you want to pronounce it. The makhraj of the Dad was the side of the tongue, hafatul lisan, side of the tongue, like the entire side. You can use one side, or whichever side you want, or you can use both. So if we're drawing, these are molars. How many molars we have? 4? 3 with the wisdoms. Then you got the premolars. I think 2 of those. I'm afraid I'm drawing more teeth than necessary. Then you got 8 molars. You got the canine. Teeth aren't necessary here. This guy has bad teeth. Okay. All right. This is the top of the mouth. All right. So there is some blue on the sides and red at the top. What these blues indicate are where the tongue is going to be pressed up continuously. So the entire side, like if the tongue, like you can't really see the tongue here, but tongue is like right here, right? This tongue is supposed to be there. So all of this is used for the blood. The sides of the tongue, they're all used. That's that corresponds to that. And the tip corresponds to what I colored in red up there, right? So when you say blood, when you're preparing to say the blood, the sides of the tongue are pressed up. Sides of the tongue are already pressed on the sides. Like walal 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 walal. Then when you finally say the blood, you let go from here. You let go that red area. So when you're saying walal walal, the whole tongue is up on the palate. When you say the letter, you release from the tip, the red area. Okay. Now that is not istiṭālah, that's just the makhraj of dad, which we talked about before. What is istiṭālah? Istiṭālah is when you are pronouncing dad, there's a slight, and this can really be experienced when there's like a dad mushaddad, like wala dad with a shadda. That's where you can really feel it. Wala you can say wala wala. So what is istiṭālah? When you're reciting the dad, the air from the from the throat is coming out, but because the dad covers the entire region, the tongue is blocking all passageways. There's nothing open. Sides are there, even the front is covered. There's no area from where that sound can escape. The pressure caused by the air that's coming behind it is going to slowly start pushing the tongue forward. So when you say the tip of the tongue, let's say the tooth is here, this is like the canine tooth, not the canine, the front incisor, and then the tongue is all up on here, and the tip of the tongue is like there, right? It's all pressed up, like where the ridges are on the mouth. Like let's say these are ridges of the mouth, the tongue is over here. It's not all upon the tooth. When you say the tongue is not on the tooth. It's before that where the ridges are at. That's where the tip of the tongue is. All of this is being pressed up. There's no room for the air to go out. Air is trapped. And it's beyond, further behind than the tooth. So when you're saying la, if your tip of the tongue is pressed on your teeth, that's incorrect. It should be way behind that. I can't really show you my mouth, but my tongue is a good this much before my teeth. It's way behind it. It's on those ridges. The tip of my tongue is on the ridges. It's on the ridges. Now, when I block that airflow, let's say that's a giant tooth, but air is coming and it's blocked, right? The tongue is all on there. So the air is going to start pushing the tongue forward. So the tongue gets pushed a little bit forward and then it releases. What's happening is there's so much air that it's causing a balloon here. And that balloon is causing the tongue to get pushed forward. That's istiṭālah. And so look at the definition again. It is a slight pushing of the tongue forward when pronouncing the dad, from the back to the front of the mouth, until the tip of the tongue lightly touches the root area of the upper two incisors. So this pushing will eventually reach here. The tongue never gets on the tooth. Like the tongue never gets pressed all upon there. Tongue will reach there because of the push. The roots of the upper two incisors. So he says again, from the back to the front of the mouth until the tip of the tongue lightly touches the root area of the upper two incisors, which is the effect of the air pressing behind the tongue. That is istiṭālah. And that gives you like this prolonged sound for dad. That's why you're here, like if someone says, you do waqf on a dad, like فَقَضِي مَا أَنْتَ قَاضٍ. That sound is the balloon air pushing the tongue forward. That duration is caused because of istiṭālah. If there was no istiṭālah, you wouldn't be able to hold it that long. You wouldn't hear that. It would just be qad, qad. But here, qad, qad. That sound is the tongue getting pushed forward. And when you recite it like walad, walad, there's like a good second where you're hearing the balloon expand and then it releases, it pops, and then you have the dad. So that is istiṭālah. Any questions? We'll stop here, inshallah. You guys review as we're going because a lot of information. It's not enough just to go over it once. You need to continuously read over, ask yourself, then you'll get questions, and you can make sure you can clarify. That's how you learn better when you continuously look at it, inshallah. وصلى الله تبارك وتعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.